Hello YouTubers and welcome to this demo of SAPUI5. Today we are going to develop a SplitApp application. I really like this element because of its responsive nature, and to demonstrate this behavior of SplitApp, I've created a JSON service which contains some products of Mac, and we are going to use these products in our SplitApp application. So let's go ahead and create our application. We go to File, New, Others, and we are going to create an application project. We are going to name it as SplitApp demo. We are going to use sap.m because the SplitApp control is a part of sap.m. So our first page is going to be the intro page, and click finish, and it creates our intro page and the controller. So to give you a basic understanding of a split app, it is going to split your application in two different parts, something like this. And the left part is called the master page, and the right part is called the details page. Right? So our intro view.js is going to be the details page, and we haven't created the master page yet. So before we create the master page, we're going to write a text over here. We're going to name the content as welcome, and we're going to have the content as new sap.ui .commons.text view, and this is going to accept a text. We are going to write the text as welcome to Macworld. Please select a product from the master page, which is on the left hand side, to see the description, right? And we are going to make it a little bold. So we write design is equal to sap.ui.commons.textViewDesign, and this is going to be h5. Text view design T is going to be capital, and because we are using this library SAPUI Commons, we are going to add it over here, right? And that's all about our intro page. So we can go ahead and close this. And now we are going to initialize our app. To do that, we're going to delete all of this, and we're going to start with var oSplitApp is equal to new sap.m.SplitApp. We are going to give an ID to this. Let's say the ID is going to be app ID, and it is going to accept an object, but it is empty. So that's our split app, and now the split app is going to accept some pages. So it is going to accept the details page and the master page. So to do that, first we need to create those pages over here. We need to initialize them. So we write o intro page is equal to sap.ui.view, and this is going to accept an object whose ID is going to be as intro ID, and it also has a view name which is going to be, we get into intro view, it is going to be splitappdemo.intro. So we're going to write the view name, and then we need to specify the type. In this case it is a JavaScript type, so .js, right? And also we are going to create a master page. So we go ahead and create a master page. In this case it is going to be a view, and we'll name this page as master page, right? And we are just going to change the title from title to products, and we are going to copy this, and this is going to be our O master page. and the ID we are going to set it as master ID, and the view name is going to be splitappdemo.master, and we have our master page as well. Now we are going to add these pages inside our split app. So we can do that by writing o splitapp.add detail page, and in this case our detail page is going to be o intro page, and we are going to add the master page as well. So o splitapp.add master page, and this is going to be o master page, right? And we are going to set the initial display. In this case, the initial display would be the master page and the intro page, but we are going to write it down over here by specifying o split app dot set initial detail, and this is going to accept the ID. In this case, it is going to be this, and also we are going to specify the initial master. So o split app dot set initial master, and this is going to be the master ID, which is this. And after we are done with that, we are going to place the split app inside this div, which is content. So we're going to pass content over here. That's it, right? Now we can go ahead and preview this, run as web app preview, and it is going to display something like this. So this will have all the products, and we are going to get the products from here. So let's go ahead and get into the master page controller. In this case, it is going to be master.controller.js, and we are going to uncomment the onInit method. And here we are going to specify our model. So it is going to be var o model is equal to new sap.ui.model.json model, and we need to pass our URL, which is this, right? And after this, we are going to make this model available globally. So we write sap.ui.getCore.set model, and we are going to set our O model, and we are going to name it as our data. It contains all the data, so that's the reason. So we are done with the master controller. Now we can close this, and let's get into the master view. So what we want to display our products over here. So let's go ahead and create the list view. So we are going to start typing var o list, and this is going to be new sap.m.list, and the list is going to accept an ID. In this case, we are going to just write it as list ID. And the next thing it is going to accept is the mode. Now, when we display the products over here, when you click on one of the item, it is going to display its description over here. So it is going to be a single select, it is not a multi-select, and that's the reason we need to set the mode over here, and we can write sap.m.list mode, and it is going to be single select. And the next is when we select, what is going to happen. So we're going to write a function, and it is going to get into our O controller, and it is going to trigger this function item selected, right? So we are going to create this method right now, and this is going to be into our master controller, which is this, and it is going to execute this function. We'll write the implementation later on. And so after we are done with the O list, we need to bind this list uh, with the model that we have already created over here. And this is going to be an aggregation binding, because usually when you create a list, you specify the items over here, but our items are going to come from the models, so we are going to bind it. And the way to do that is we can create a small template. So var o item template, and this is going to be new sap.m dot standard list item, and this is going to accept an ID. In this case, this is a standard list item, so we will just name it as slist. That's the ID. And then it is going to accept our title. Now in this case, the title would be coming from uh, our model. So if we look into our model, we have specified our model as data. So we need to write data over here. We are going to accept the data model, and we need the name of this, right? So the title is going to be the name. So we write it over here. And after the title, we need to write the description. So this is going to be data description. So we are accessing our data model, and we are requesting the description field, which is okay. We don't have a description, so let's just write price over here. So it's going to contain a price, and now we can do the aggregation binding. So we write o list dot bind aggregation, and we are going to, so as I said earlier, this is going to contain items, but in this case we are going to bind it, so we cannot write it over here. So we are going to bind the aggregation, and we are going to bind the items aggregation, and it is going to accept data from our model, which is this, and we are going to access the root of this, because if you look into this, when we get the model, these are all the values that we need. So we need the values from the parent node, right? So that's the reason we have written this slash, which is denoting that it's the root node. And after this, we are going to pass our template, which is this, and then we are going to return our products, and in this case we are going to write o list over here. So our content is going to contain the o list, which is this, and we are creating a template which is going to contain the title and the description, and then we bind it with the model by using the aggregation binding. And now if you go ahead and refresh this page, it is going to get you all the products over here. So instead of we don't have a description in this service, so that's the reason I chose to display the price. Right now, when we select on one of this, we want this view to change, right? So to do that, we need to create another view, which is going to be the details view, and which is going to contain the details of this particular product. So we go ahead and create another view, and we name it as the details view. Oh, sorry. Next, and this is going to be the details view. Hit on finish. In the details view, we want all the products to come over there. So we are going to create a layout, and this is going to be a matrix layout, which I have explained in my previous demo. So our layout is going to be new sap.ui.commons.layout.matrix layout, and this is going to accept an ID. We are going to name it as the matrix ID. The IDs should be much more meaningful, but just for the demo purpose, I'm maintaining the IDs this way. And we are going to make the layout as fixed. And the total number of columns that we are going to have is 2. And the width of this layout we're going to specify as 90%. I'll tell you the reason why we chose 90%. And so we have 2 columns and we have to mention the width of each column. So the first column is going to be 20% in size and the second column is going to be 80% in size. So when I write 20%, which means that it is going to be 20% of this 90%, right? And when I say 80%, it's going to be 80% of this particular width, right? So we have created a layout. Now we need to add the rows into it. So olayout dot create row, and this is going to accept a text view. So new sap.ui.commons.text view, and this is going to accept a text, and the text is going to be, so we start from here and we're going to add the name first. So the text is going to be name, and we want this particular thing to be a little bold. So we write sap.ui.commons.text view designed, and we just mark it as bold. And after that, it is going to contain another element, and which is going to be the field. So new sap.ui.commons.text view, and this is going to be our text. And in this case, we are going to bind the value with this particular UI element. Always remember the capital and the small alphabets, they really make a lot of difference. So the text, we are going to bind it with a model, which we have not done yet. So let's keep this particular part incomplete, and let's go ahead and write the function that when we select on one of the product, what's going to happen. So to do that, we are going to write it inside our master controller, which is item selected. And when the item is selected, first we will get the instance of our app. So we write var app is equal to sap.ui.getCore.byId, and we are going to write app ID. So what we are doing over here, we are trying to get the instance of our SplitApp. So we have denoted the ID as app ID, and the same we are trying to get over here. So we get the instance of the app, and after this we are going to get the instance of the list, which is this, right? And in this case, we can get the instance of the list by passing the list ID. So we get into our master controller and we write var list is going to be sap.ui.getCore by ID, and we get our list ID over here. And now we need to know which item did we select. So when we click on this, we need to know which is the item that we clicked on. So for that, S item, which is the standard item, or you can name it as selected item. So this is going to be list dot get selected item. And after we get that, we need to know which is the path of this, because the selected item that we get is going to give us kind of an index. So if you want, we can do console.log s item, and let's see what it gives us. So I'm going to open it in Chrome browser, and we're going to inspect element, and when we click on this, it gives us this particular object, right? Now in this case, we need the path of this, and we can get the path by going to binding context, and this is the path. So we clicked on the 0th index, which is this, and when we click on this, we will see that the path has changed, and the path is now 1, which is this record that we selected. So to get that path, we will get into our master control. So to get the path, we write var spath, and the way to get spath is, so these are the objects that we are getting, and after that we are going to access binding contexts. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to write sitem dot binding contexts, and after this we are going to get the s path, which is inside data. So after that we need to access data, and after this we get our path. Now if I write console.log s path, it is going to give me exactly the same path that we need. So if I click, it is giving me 0. So this is the 0th index, and then 1, 2, 3. You're getting everything that we need. And so after we get s path, we need to get the item. So var item is equal to sap.ui.getCore.get model. We're going to get the model, which is data, and we're going to get the property by passing our s path. Right now, console.log item. Now if you try to refresh this, and now when we click on one of the item, it is giving me exact details of this particular item. If I click on this, it is giving me the exact details of this particular item, and that's what we need. And now we are going to bind it inside the model. We are going to set it inside a model so that we can access that model and display it inside this page, which is going to be the details page. So to do that, we are going to write var model is equal new sap.ui.model.json model. We are choosing JSON model because if you see, the details that we are getting is a JSON object. So we write JSON model, and we're going to pass the item over here, and now we are going to set it sap.ui.getCore.set model, and we're going to set this model, and we're going to name it as item because it contains the relevant item that we need. And after we are done with that, we are going to display the page, which is the details page. So to do that, we have to write app.navigate to the detail page, and we need to specify the details ID over here, and this is going to accept another parameter, which is the animation parameter, the transition parameter. The transition parameter can be show, it can be fade, it can be slide, and in this case we are just going to make it show. And if you do not pass this parameter, by default it is going to take slide as the default transition, right? So we have created the details view, but we have not added the details view over here. So we are going to add the details view, and we can do that. We can copy this, and I'll name this as details page, and this is going to be the details ID, and our view name is going to be SplitApp demo.details. So we're going to replace this with that. So we have another details page, and we can add it over here just by writing .add detail page. So this is called chaining. What we are doing, we get the instance of SplitApp, we add this page, and again we go ahead and we add another detail page, but in this case it is going to be O details page, right? And now remember, the ID of the details page is details ID. So now we can go ahead into our master controller, and now we are going to pass this ID so that our app can navigate to the details page, right? So we're going to close that. Now in the details view we had left this as incomplete, so now we can go ahead and continue writing rest of the view elements. So we are creating a text view which is going to give us the name, and another text view which is going to have the value of this name. And now we are setting a model over here, and this model is going to have master panels. So for that reason we are going to give it as 90% so that our table becomes a bit more smaller in width. And then we are going to arrange this table in the middle, and we can do that. Let's copy the matrix ID over here, and we are going to write a little bit of CSS. We can write over here, so type is equal to text CSS, and this is the matrix ID, and we are going to have the margin as auto. Now if you go ahead and refresh this page, and that comes exactly in the center, right? And you see those things are changing. Now a couple of things to note over here. The first thing, so this is one option that you can write. The second option is show height mode, and in this case if you view this, so the master page is automatically hidden, but when you make it to a landscape mode, the master page is always visible. So that's the only difference, and you can get the master page by clicking on this, and when you tap over here, the master page is gone. So this is another mode, and then we have another mode which is the popover mode. So popover mode, I think this is small popover mode, and in popover mode the master page is displayed like a popover. So when you click on this, this is a popover, and it is not really a slider like we saw before. And there is one more mode which is hide mode, and so I'm going to write popover mode. And the hide mode, the master area is hidden initially both in portrait and landscape. So if I refresh this, the master page is not shown in portrait mode, and also in the landscape mode if I refresh, it's not shown. But when you click on this, it slides in, and when you click on the details page, it goes inside, right? Similarly in this case it's the same. So I'm going to go ahead with show height mode because that's very cool. And so that slides in, slides out, and it's visible over here. So that was about setting the mode of a split app. And also you can give a default transition detail over here. So split app dot set default transition name detail, and you can name it as fade or slide. So basically if we go here, we are explicitly mentioning slide over here, but you can specify this mode over here so that you don't have to mention it in rest of the navigation part. So you just mention it once, and the entire application is going to provide you this sliding effect. And that's all about the split app. So we didn't use any router at the moment. It was a very simple split app application. That's all about this demo. I hope you understood. If you have any doubts, please drop me a comment. Thanks for watching.